Dr. Harish Shetty, a name that needs no introduction. One of the leading psychiatrists in our country, Dr. Shetty has been identified as one of the 17 mental health workers by World Health Organization and was invited twice for training in the years 1995 and 1996. His work in various fields, including school mental health sector, suicide prevention, de-addiction, amongst many others, is well known. Dr. Shetty was also involved in training of law enforcement officers, including judicial officers, supporting mental health issues. It is an honor to have you for the 20th episode of Beer Salad, sir. Thank you. Sir, my first question to you would be looking at your experience in the children's sector. You know, there are increasing crimes where children are both the perpetrators and the victims. So do you think we need to relook at our parenting style?
I think what is very important in this context, that is globalization and rapid social change, and also in an era where our institutions are facing a lot of crisis, we need to look at the context. And when we look at the context, what we see that the age of onset of depression has gone down. Younger children get depressed. Younger children are involved in crime. Younger children are victims of crime. Younger children attempt self-harm, and younger children get depressed. So globally, we see that children are more vulnerable, and children also commit a lot of offenses. It's not the parenting style alone. Let's not look at this issue as dichotomous, linear, one affecting the other. It's a very complex issue. I saw my parents at the age of I saw my parents at 5 o'clock in the evening. My children see me at 10 p.m. So what is happening is, when a CEO and a security guard work 12 hours a day, work 14 hours a day, largely in metros, there is disconnection. And that's what I've been describing all the time. There's disconnection between family members, there's disconnection between families, there's disconnection in the community, there's disconnection in the larger community, I call it the country or the earth. So when there's disconnection, there's no parenting, or there is micro doses of parenting. So when somebody comes home at 11:30 to a house which is small, big, medium, but is disconnected with his neighbors, the entire emotional contact time has gone down inside the family and outside the family. The family contact time has gone down. And when all this happens, disconnection becomes a bigger illness than HIV and AIDS. So disconnection leads to angst. Angst leads to stress. Stress leads to a lot of disorders. And at the same time, supervision, parental supervision has gone down. And that's the reason why you see more angst and more violence. But at the same time, I would like to add Tejaswini that a large number of parents are coping with this beautifully and are doing extremely well. Human wisdom is infinite, and to expect to analyze every problem under the prism of illness or normalcy is not right. We see a large number of parents doing extremely well, but disconnection is the bigger disease that's causing all the issues which we have here. Parents are very vulnerable, they're also very helpless, and they're also very lonely. So it's a complex problem.
It is tough. It is tough. So do you think that peer pressure and media, social media in particular, do they play a major role in all of this?
I agree with you that the world has changed. The world is a global village, and you see images from across the world, and everything is exposed to everything around the world. So Tejaswini, when we were young, we used to listen to radio and the black and white TV and then the color TV, and we still hum the songs of Mahendra Kapoor, Rafi, Arjit, etc. But you ask kids from English medium schools, they don't listen to Hindi songs anymore. They identify themselves with a lot of songs from the West. They don't know Hindi. Large number of them don't know Hindi movies. Only the children from the poorer sections, especially in the vernacular medium or the English medium are in touch with the local culture and local history. So what has happened is because of the exposure, we have assimilated, absorbed a lot of things from the West. But at the same time, we have forgotten local history, local wisdom, and local knowledge. I'll give you an example. I was invited to an IB school to choose the best. I was invited to the IB school to choose the best student in the school. They had shortlisted 5 of them. I asked them 3, 4 questions. I'll tell you what were the questions. I said, if the buses are on strike, if there's a strike across and your cars don't reach the school, which bus will you take to go home? They did not know. I asked them to name 4 railway stations beyond the school, and they did not know. Third is I asked them to name the saints of Maharashtra. Couple of saints, they did not know. So just knowing model UN is not enough. Children who forget local culture and local history and know everything about the American revolution, not enough. You are alienating the children from the soil, alienating children from the local language, local food, and local culture. So I would say that social media and media has a mixed role. Media is doing its job. They want to educate, they want to share different narratives and the perspectives, which are also planned. It's not simple, it's all planned. At the same time, what is our responsibility in the house? Our responsibility is to teach them your mother tongue or your father tongue, one Indian language. Our responsibility is to help them understand the local flavor of the food which we cook. Our responsibility is also to help them understand the local history. So when the child is strong locally and learns globally, he's integrated to the soil, to his country, and to the earth. And that mixing, that intermingling, that gelling is not happening. Number two, social media is an important tool. Let me explain. I mean, it's a beautiful tool, and
So
it
it is so funny that I can see children 6 to 7 year olds. They have these gadgets in front of them, smartphones, where their parents are playing some YouTube video, and they will say, "My child will not eat unless my child watches this video." So where does it begin? Where does it stop?
no, that is a different issue. So that's a different issue at all. I'm saying social media is useful and you should know how to really use it, and kids might not be able to do it. So in the family, I agree with you that you do not make it so easy for children. So, and do not be upset if they cry and if they get upset. See, what's happening is food has an association. It's not the taste of the food which is important, it's not the choice of food, but how does a child associate the food with? They associate the food with the warmth of the mother, the love of the mother, the love of the kitchen, the food that they go and buy. All children who buy vegetables themselves, who buy groceries themselves, feel very fond of what they have bought and feel very enthralled and very energetic to have the food cooked in their own kitchen. So the association is I buy my vegetable, I buy my groceries, I have picked up the brinjal from the vegetable vendor. I've not gone to any big retail store, but I support my vegetable vendor on the road. And there's an association. So this association starts by seeing the vegetable, buying vegetable, bargaining with the man who sells it, and as it enters the kitchen. So that association for food is very important. But unfortunately, as you said just now, when you associate the food with an image which is not yours, it's a borrowed image. The TV and the gadgets which they show to entice the child to it are borrowed images. They are not associated with food. So creating the right associations with food is extremely important. If you create a wrong association, that's a problem. Also, let them not eat if they don't eat at the right time. Let them not eat. Let them be hungry. Hunger is a good medium to instill values for food. So what is very important here is if the child wouldn't eat for whatever reason and is hungry, you will not give him food when he is hungry. You will give him food when he is supposed to. So allow him to be hungry, allow him to shout, scream, allow him to say that he don't like the food, allow him to throw a tantrum. Tantrum is a method or an opportunity to induct values. If I still see a lot of parents getting upset by a child's tantrum. No, don't get upset. I saw a child out in the mall and he said he wanted something to eat. It was not healthy and they refused. He rolled on the floor. There were people who gathered there and they were watching everything. The mother was very ashamed. The mother told the father, buy it, forget it now. Please keep it quiet. And the father was saying, no, I will not buy. What is important is the people who watch your children do not instill values. It's you who are instilling values. Let him roll on the ground, allow him to roll, watch him, exhaust his tantrum. When you exhaust his tantrum, you tell the child very clearly that this behavior is not acceptable, this behavior will not yield you any results which you desire. And that's how values are instilled. So the children cry and they experience small pain. It's very important to understand that it is good for them because when they experience small pain as a child, they'll be able to experience and accept big pains when they grow up as an adult. I always tell them, let them cry, let them experience some amount of frustration when you say no. Let them hear no when they're supposed to hear no, and then they will be able to hear the no from a boyfriend or a girlfriend when they become big, and they will still live and not end their life because they have been used to hearing no, they have been used to managing frustration. So, teaching the child how to regulate his emotions is the biggest skill any parent can give. And if he or she fails, they need to take the help of teachers and counselors.
So I have realized that very often we always look at negatives. But what do you think are the strengths of this generation, this young generation of children?
I think they are bolder. They look into the eyes and talk to you. In fact, when we were young, we were still having the yoke of the foreign rule around the neck, though we were free in 1947. We still feel the yoke here, and our shoulders were not open. We would not make eye-to-eye contact, and that was a time when even Indian cricket team, when they found Imran coming on to them, they felt that was the Mughals, and when they saw Iron Bottom, they told him they felt it was the British. But when Sehwag's generation, Dhoni's and Virat Kohli, they don't care. So they are bold, they research, they have their choices, they have their opinions. For example, if I would stand in front of my father, I would bend my head and I had blind reverence. Today's children have no blind reverence towards the parents. They
I
would
agree.
respect them, but they would also differ. One example I'll give you. If 40 years back or 25 years back, your father lost money in business or whatever, the son or the daughter would say, Kai Dhala, what happened, daddy? And he would say, shut up, that's not your business. But now a kid might say, Dad, you have no brains. So that would not mean that they disrespect them. The paraphrasing has changed, the love is intact. Sure, they're bolder, they dare, they want to take risks, and they read a lot about a subject and they can look into their eyes and talk as equals. So that I think are the beautiful strength. And I honestly tell you that I trust this youth. India is on the threshold of a great tomorrow and they are our architects. We were not as smart as they are at that age. We were very scared, we were underconfident, and we would not look into the eyes of elders. And all this blind reverence has been replaced by mutual blind reverence has been replaced by mutual respect and also a courage to say that I don't agree with you.